Welcome, sports fans. In this episode, I'm going to be discussing a few things. I'm going to start out by talking about parts 3 and 4 of The Last Dance, followed by the return of NASCAR and the NBA. There's been a lot going on with the Pistons. There's been a lot of talk involving the Pistons and Bulls as of late. I've seen the first 4 parts of The Last Dance. I'll admit it. Been really interesting. The only reason I haven't commented about it till now is because there was no reason to, because none of it had anything to do with any of the Michigan sports teams, until they started showing parts 3 and 4. So in this segment, I want to discuss primarily what they talked about in part 3, and the next segment, I'm going to talk about Isaiah Thomas's comments, as well as Michael Jordan's comments towards the Pistons, towards Isaiah Thomas in particular, and going from there. I think a lot of people got enlightened as to what people in the Detroit area that remember when he played about Dennis Rodman. And I think a lot of people may have forgotten or may not have known just how much influence Chuck Daly had over Dennis Rodman. I believe it's the one thing that kept him from being as wild as he was when he joined the San Antonio Spurs and going forward for the rest of his career. In fact, he was so wild, one of the things he said that never came to fruition is he wanted to play his last NBA game naked. And I believe him when he said it. There's no doubt in my mind. There's no question that Dennis Rodman was a hell of a player. I hated the fact that the Pistons traded him, but I kind of realized they didn't have a choice because he was becoming too wild and he was becoming too dangerous. What I didn't know is that he was going to blow his brains out not long before the Pistons traded him. I had no idea he had hit that much of a low in his life. And while I'm not going to pretend to understand him because I'm not him, and I don't entirely, I think it's something for a man of his success, and it just goes to show that no matter what you achieve in life, that apparently he's not happy with it, or he has demons from his childhood that he still hasn't conquered. And we're talking about a man now that's about 60 years old. And I think that part is what truly is a good life lesson for all of us, that we need to learn to conquer our demons. And for all his drinking and all his partying, that he has not conquered his demons. He hasn't conquered it by winning 5 championships, and he may never conquer it. And to that extent, I actually feel for him. I really do. I mean, I marvel what he did on the court. But somehow the fact that that isn't enough, or it wasn't enough to help him to deal with the pain, or he doesn't have the courage to deal with the pain. I don't want to say Dennis Rodman's not courageous. I don't know him, but he hasn't faced his pain, I would say, enough that he has been able to conquer it. And that truly is sad to me. And then listening to him, I mean, to me, he doesn't sound good, and I don't think he's going to last a lot longer, folks. And that's really the sad part of it to me. I mean, like I said, he was something. What he did on the court was really something, because there are actually 2 plays I remember that stand out in my mind from him. One was in the playoffs against the Celtics, and I believe it was either the 86-87 playoffs or the 87-88 playoffs. I'm not sure which one it was. But Kevin McHale, who liked to lean his big body into people, was leaning to Dennis Rodman. And as soon as, and I believe it was Larry Bird that threw him the pass, as soon as he threw him the pass, Dennis Rodman stepped back, Kevin McHale fell on his butt, and the ball landed out of bounds. And I'm going to surmise after that, Kevin McHale didn't try to lean into anybody in the Pistons anymore. Though I did see after that where he was still leaning into people, very much so. The other thing that stands out in my mind is in the 1989-90 season. Pistons were playing the Rockets. The game was tied. There was about 4 or 5 seconds left in the game. And somehow Hakeem Olajuwon got a long pass. He was one-on-one with Dennis Rodman, and Dennis Rodman blocked his shot at the buzzer. And the Pistons went on to beat the Rockets in overtime. Those are really the 2 plays that stand out in my mind in Dennis Rodman's career that really defined who he was. But yet, for all of that, the fact that he cannot find the happiness, I would say, that I don't know if he needs it or whatever it is, but he just hasn't found it even with all of this. And that, I really feel for him. I mean, I know Chuck Daly tried to help him, I'm sure, and Phil Jackson tried to help him, but I think this is something he really has to do for himself, and he either doesn't want to or he doesn't know how to, I would say. And that's the real, I said, that's the real tragedy to all of that. And that's, I couldn't help but think about that in hearing about him. But a lot of people may not have known about that other side, and they may not have known how wild he was. I mean, there's a lot I didn't know, but none of it surprised me. But I'd like to best remember Dennis Rodman for who he was when he was with the Pistons, say for the last season or so, or even the last half season he was with them. In the next segment, I'm going to discuss Michael Jordan and Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas's comments about what's been said because of The Last Dance, and then we'll take it from there in the further segments. Stay tuned on Ed's Sports Channel.